Today's topic is authentication and authorization in ASP.NET. So, authentication, which means that it's a process of verifying the identity of a user by obtaining some sort of credentials and using those credentials to verify the user's identity. If the credentials are valid, then authorization process starts. Authentication process always proceeded to authorization process, which means that, say for example, when we are going to implement a website, in the website we have a few things which are on user role based or few things which are on login basis. So I have 100 numbers of pages in my website. Only 5 to 10 pages are visible to everybody, and rest of the pages are visible according to the user login. Suppose if I log in as an admin, I can have a all pages accessibility. If somebody log in as an normal user, they have only few pages has to be accessed. Likewise, means this authentication process is going to be checked whether a user has invalid credentials or not. If they have invalid credentials, then they will forward it to next process. Okay, so that is called authentication, which is very important topic in ASP.NET. See, okay, if you have a valid credentials for us, so then you can consider you as an authentication users. So generally in ASP.NET, this authentication technique will be implemented for three different ways. We have three different ways of authentication. So the three different ways are: one is Windows authentication, and other is a Forms authentication, and other is a passport authentication, and other is a mode attribute. Sorry, this is the three authentications, and we have one more that is nothing but non-authentication. Non-authentication means there is no authentication process which are available. So these are authentication process are using in web, by using web.config file, we can set whatever we want. See here, this is the process of setting our authentication mode. Either you can choose Windows, either you can choose form, either you can choose passport, or either you can choose non-authentication. Okay, suppose if user has an authentication, so do you consider that user has access to all the information? He has a Do you consider that user has a right to access all the information which is available in the website? We can say no. Again, that is depend on some other process. Okay, even though you are a valid user, but you don't have a permission to access each and everything from the website. Okay, that process will be dealt by our ASP.NET authorization. Okay, say I have a website. A website will be going to be used in my organization only. Okay, through LAN I can access my website. Generally in companies we have a auditing process, or we have some compliance examinations, or we have some security examinations which are going to be provided by our companies itself, right? Those we cannot access outside of the environment. We can access through LAN only. So whenever you are available in the LAN, then only it can be accessible. Means those applications are, for them, they provided as a Windows authentication. So Windows authentication means an application which is used at organization level only, then we will call it as a Windows authentication. There they can be provided or accessed or hosted in their local server. So that is nothing but a private IP. In that environment you can access. If you come out of that and you can't access it, that is not, because that is a private. For this we will provide Windows authentication. So Windows authentication, how we will provide is, so we have our Windows users, right? So we have some user ID and password in order to log in our system. So for example, so I want to consider, so my organization name, this name slash my name. So likewise, we have our names in our in our real-time environment. So organization name slash your name, candidate name. So this is the process they would like to provide user ID for every user, and then we have some sort of password, right? All this list is available in with your administrator who is going to manage all your systems or something, or will be available with your administrator. Means through administrator they can access all your rights, whether we have to give an access or not, everything will be there only. Okay, in Windows authentication, if authentication mode is Windows, if it is in Windows, then we have to pass which user has to access which thing. Like that information we will pass through with the help of our authorization process. Okay, in authorization process we can check. Okay, so now then when we will use a Forms authentication. Windows authentication we can use which is an application which can be used in an organization level. Then we can use an Windows authentication. Means the main intention of Windows authentication is we can't access an information from the outside of our company environment. So coming to Forms authentication, any web application we can implement a Forms authentication. Means if I have to host an application, any web application that I can make use with Forms authentication. Okay. So all web-based applications are examples for Forms authentication. And another is a passport authentication. Passport authentication is this is a service which will be provided by the Microsoft. This is a paid service. So example means, so for example, you have a one website, you have one business that contains that has one website, and similarly you want a similar kind of some other business websites because you have a lot of users. If you want, suppose if one user registered in any of your website, you can provide access to them to all of your group websites. At that moment you can go with the passport authentication. Suppose if you have an access with Gmail, if you are a user of a Gmail, you can access YouTube, you can access Google Drive, okay, and you can access Google AdSense, like all the Google products you can access, right? So how it can be possible? They can be maintained your separate, like one of the repository. So anywhere when you log in anywhere, you can that login credentials will be stored in a centralized database. From this, they can validate whether you are a registered user or not. They can validate by using that credentials. Okay. So passport authentication, which is a paid service which will be provided by the Microsoft. Likewise, you have a 10 websites. If user registered with any one of your website, then by using that credentials, we will provide a provision that they can access any of our group websites. So in that approaches, we can make use of a passport authentication and none authentication. When you have, when you do, like when you provide our authentication mode as a none, so which means that there is no authentication process is followed by the website. Means we no need to check anything. So every user and any user has an access for everything and anything which is available on the website. Mostly for static websites. If it is a normal static content websites, we can make it as an authentication mode equal to none. If we want to restrict our own implementations, or if we want to restrict a few pages from the other users, then we can use either of these authentication modes. Got it? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now I would like to sorry?
No, nothing.
Okay. Now I would like to show, like, how to implement, how to declare this thing in web.config file. So suppose I want to add one page. This is web.config file. So in system.web we can write. So yesterday we saw like connection strings and application settings, right? Applications. So but here we can make use of a system.web. So in this authentication we can specify mode equal to, so all are available. We can make use of, say for example, if I make use forms authentication, okay, then I can provide my necessary things here. Form authentication mode. Okay. So in system.web like you can give like this authentication mode equal to none or form, whatever you want you can give. Okay. This is about your authentication process. Okay. Uh, I want to open one more website. Okay. Okay, I want to show like how to implement different authentication modes, like an example with the help of our authentication mode. Now, see, this is about your authentication. Authentication is first we will check whether the user is a valid user or not. If they have some valid, if we consider that as a valid user, we'll proceed for further process. The process I'll show you. That process is called authorization. So though you have an authenticated user, but you don't have all authorizations which are available in the website. Suppose you are an user, you are a normal user. You don't have an authorization to access all the contents from the website, right? Only like few pages will be available for you. If you are an admin, you can have full rights, like all pages are available for you. So here also the same scenario. Authorization is a process of allowing an authenticated user to access the resource by checking whether the user has access rights to the system. Authorization helps you to control access rights by granting and denying specific permissions to an authenticated user. So here we can access or we can provide, we can deny the permissions to an authenticated user. That can be possible with the help of our ASP.NET authorization. Means even though you are an authorized user, you don't have an access to, you don't have an authorization to access few things. That few things, whether you have an access or not, that will be decided with the help of this ASP.NET authorization. Okay, so ASP.NET allows two ways to authorize access to a given resource. They are URL authorization and file authorization. Suppose if I don't want to access any file, or if I don't want to access any page, anything can be restricted with the help of this authorization process. First, what we have to do is, once we will create a website in Web.config and check how it would be observed in configuration section. Under system.web section, we are able to see only authentication mode. There is no authorization mode exists, that would be just like this. So generally when you open a website, so it will be like this. So now we have to provide our own settings. So generally I don't want to go with Windows authentication. So why? Because I don't have a proper IIS to, to show this example. I just installed IIS, which is in basic version. IIS means our server, Internet Information Services, our server. So if I use this Forms Authentication, means I can host live, so that I can access. This is my live website, which I provided an authentication mechanism. I want to show you how I provided. See, next step is, okay, this step was completed. So basically, I would like to use authenticate. I would like to set authentication mode equal to forms, and I can implement. I would like to implement whatever the necessary steps that I want to take in care. Next is, here we need to change authentication mode to forms to implement the authorization concept in Web.config. After the change authentication mode, we need to add authorization in system.web section to implement our custom requirements, like allow or deny resources to a particular user or role. Now we will start with section like deny anonymous user access to website. That is, the person who ever log into website, only those are able to access an application. So here this is a forms authentication. I can make use. So in this, once authentication is done, I have to go with an authorization. So authorization is a process. Here I have two keywords. One is allow and other is deny. So let us check what is deny and what is allow. Deny users equal to question mark. Means deny users equal to question mark means, deny means we are not providing an access to the unauthenticated user. Question mark means anonymous user. Those who doesn't have a login will consider them as an question mark, means anonymous user. Okay. So deny means we are not at all giving a access permissions to a particular users. Means we are restricting to access our website if they don't have a proper login. Okay, that is the meaning of deny. If we are providing allow means we will allow any user who are going to access our system. Okay, so deny user is that one, allow user is that one. Okay, here we can allow roles and we can allow different number of users, all the things we can provide. Okay, now that was done. The above situation is used whenever user accounts created by some advanced status to access an application. In some situations, we'll get a requirement like we need to allow users to access the particular page and restrict other users only to logged or authenticated user. So we have some scenarios. So like, once a user is login, then we would like to provide some pages. If user is not a logged in user, then we can provide a different pages for them. So for these situations, I will show you how we can I have website. Now I want to allow all users to access only registration page to register in website and allow only logged or authenticated users to access remaining pages in website. In this situation, we need to write the code like this. So any user has an access to go with a registration page and only login user or authenticated user has an access for the remaining pages. For this, we can write like this. How we can write means authentication mode equal to forms, that is okay, and deny users equal to question mark, that is okay. Next is we can set. So I want consider this is my home page. Okay, I want to write something here. H1 welcome to my home page. So I don't want to restrict anything from this. I don't want to restrict anything from this. Here you can check. Here what I did is location path. Here my page is home.aspx. Home.aspx space authorization allow users equal to star. Star indicates that any user. Okay. Question mark indicates that anonymous user means those don't have any login. Star means every user. Okay. So I would like to create a new page. Consider it is an internal page. I would like to name it as internal page.aspx. Here I would like to provide welcome to authenticated. Welcome to authenticated users. Now just I would like to execute this page. Okay. See, when I use internal page, what it is giving? So login page. So I created one internal page right here. This is my internal page. When I directly give internal page.aspx, it will give what it will give. It will redirect to login.aspx return URL something. It goes to redirect to some return URL. Suppose I want to set my return URL here itself. Default URL, say for example, default URL is home.aspx. What does it mean? Means default URL is home.aspx and login URL is home.aspx. So if something is wrong, then automatically it should be redirected to that page. So just I'm executing home page. You can get the output. Suppose if I'm trying to execute directly internal page, okay. So internal page, we set authentication for that internal page. See, it is redirect to home page, right? So generally this is the process. Means we didn't give an access permission to access an internal pages with the help of our web.config file. Okay, observe this code. So if you place this code, so generally location path home dot means this should be your landing page, and you can write your system.web here itself. Authorization allow users equal to star. So authorization, and you can close your system.web. Means for this page you can allow any type of users. For the page, for other pages, so you should, so this will be applied. Forms authentication will be applied, and authorization any users equal to star. If you make here, oh, sorry, question mark. If you make here star means Deny users means what Deny users will do, it will restrict to access. Suppose if you put allow users equal to star means, so that everybody can access anything and everything which is available in the website. Okay, so deny means it is restricting, allow means it is allow us to access the resources. So in this way we can restrict. If few pages, if you want to restrict, if few pages, if you want to unrestrict means we can declare like this. Okay, this is one scenario, and next scenario is, so suppose access web. Now we will discuss how to allow only particular users to access website and deny all other users. I want to access a website by particular user. How this can be possible means, so here we have a system dot under system dot web we have an allow users, right? So this is our allow users. So instead of this I want to make use allow users equal to ABC. So for example this is the thing, means username is ABC. So like you can provide like this DEFGHI, which means that only this particular user, even though other user has valid credentials also, we restrict all other users. We only allow these three users to access our website. Okay, if you want to allow only particular users to access our website means we can give a setting like this. Okay, allow users equal to ABCDEFGHI something. Got my point? So next, suppose, okay, everything okay. Suppose I have a 10 hundreds of users which are under one group. So for example, we have a dev group, we have a QA group, like we have an admin group. Likewise, we have different types of groups, right? If you want to allow a particular group to access our content from our website, then how can we provide means we can provide like this. Allow role
Hello? Yeah.
roles. So here in this roles, for admin section, whatever the users which are under admin group, and as well as whatever the users which are in dev group means development groups, whatever the users which are
But
available in QA, so all will have an
we have to
access.
make these. We have to make these groups in the database, right? First.
Yes, yes, we can make this one. Okay, in fact this is not our our settings. Generally basically like senior people will take care of it, but you can understand what is going on with this. Okay, so likewise you can declare your roles so that only for these roles they can access. Suppose if some other person who is coming from BI team, business intelligence team, so they have a log authentication, but they are not mentioned here. So our system will restrict them to access their content. Okay, so because we are not at all providing like this we can do only few things, and we can allow a few users to access, and we can allow a few users to restrict. Okay, so like we have a different things like custom paths and something location path and all the things. Suppose if I want to restrict, if you want to restrict a few folders from some of the users. Then we can declare like this. Suppose I have one folder, say consider dev. Dev is my folder. So under dev I have home.aspx page. Okay. Suppose I want to restrict every user. Don't deny users. Okay. So here what my coding indicates means allow user ABC, which means that which allows only for ABC, and after that it will deny all stars means all users. Only for ABC we have access to go with the dev home.aspx. Under dev folder we have home.aspx. Only the user who has the credentials of ABC, then only they can only access our page. Other users they can restrict. We can restrict with the help of our star itself. Okay. So likewise we can provide a provisions so in our implementation itself. So now what I'm going to do is I would like to do a program. So by using this we can see what we will allow and what not we should allow, like all those things we will get to know for this example. So these are the different scenarios you can apply as per your scenario. Okay. I want to take one login page. Add new item. So login.aspx. So here I can enter username, enter password, this text box, this is another text box, button, btn submit. So here in last class we created a username and passwords, right? Okay, we have some users. In web.config file I would like to comment this section. Okay, I would like to comment this section and I would like to uncomment this one. So default URL is login for anybody, login.aspx. Okay. So now I'd like to write a code here itself. Using system.data using system.data.sql client. Once go to the web.config file and declare your connection string here only. So I already show you how we declare a connection string. Add name equal to my connection, which means connection string equal to, so server equal to dot and integrated security equal to true, database equal to, so July 2017. Likewise, I can declare my connection. So now I'd like to go here. So I could like to declare SQL connection con cmd con equal to new SQL connection. So configuration manager dot connection strings of mycon to string. If you are not able to follow, let me know, because these things yesterday we did.
Okay.
So like I can declare like this. So I don't think so. I'll change my user ID. So, okay. Txt uname, and this is txt password, and change text mode to password because this is a password. So we don't want to show plain text. Name to text and password dot text. So here we have different number of users, right? Who you will pass user ID and password who are in active state, we will get the count. Okay, so by using this we can check. I want to take one label here, ASP label ID run it equal to server next to font bold equal to true. So that I would like to make it as a form value text. Now forms authentication. So in order to maintain authentication, we can make use of one namespace, that is using system.web.security. So dot text. See what I did is, so if you have a connection, so and if you are using command, so I'm checking. So select a just I want to execute this one at backend. You will get to know what is coming. Suppose if username count, so your username, you will give any of the username which is available. Suppose I would like to give Prasad, and it is uname. Okay, and other is password. Suppose at the rate 123. What it will give? It will give as one as an output. Means count of records which are available in the database. Means one record is available. Means so everything okay. Suppose if I give a wrong password, it will give 0. If I give wrong username and right password, it will give again 0. So if you change it to correct, then only it will provide your correct things. Means if we have an users which are available in the database whose count is greater than 0, means which is the word, they are the authenticated users. Like that we can write our code. So see here I write a switch case. So if I got an output as say in CMD execute scalar, if I got an output as any of the values, either 1 or 2 or something, so then I will go to this page, response.redirect, means I would like to log into home page. So for example, here I have home.aspx page. If I got anything like this -1 or something, -2 something, account has not been activated. Suppose I would like to write a procedure. So actually I'm dealing with the procedure. In that procedure I can write. So if that is username and password are correct, then I can return -1. If anything like if account is not activated, then I can return -2. If account is there and is active is by default 0. Means I have to activate. Means inactive account is there. So for that I would like to return -2. So when I click on response.redirect, I'm navigating to one other page. So forms authentication dot redirect from login page. Like that we can redirect to some of the page. That page is nothing but we can make it as internal page. Internal page dot aspx. So in this internal page, so I would like to write something. Okay, welcome text are written. So and then I would like to write one more. I would like to place one button, ASP button, ID equal to BTN sign out, turnet equal to server, text equal to sign out. So for example, this is the sign out button. So you can use using system dot web dot security. This is the namespace. So come to the design of your internal page. When you click on this, if you have any sessions, you can kill all your sessions before your login. Forms authentication dot sign out means it will kills all the session and we are about to sign out. So just I'm going to execute this page. Now I'm in the login page. Okay, just I want to provide credentials. Reka 1 2 3 4 5 6. When I click on this submit, okay, sorry, that is not username. Here uname in our database it is uname, right? Okay, and password, okay, is active. Okay, so just I'm executing one more. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so login.aspx return URL, so you can change that return URL. So default URL I written, right? So that you can change once you are login user. Internal page dot aspx you can give like this. I can again execute this one. Like 1 2 3 4 5 6. Just when I click on the submit button, so return redirect from login page. Okay, in web.config I have to check each and everything. Okay, I'll put breakpoint and I'll check why it is not going. So everything is correct it seems. Let us check why it is not going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I click on the submit button. User ID is 1. Okay. Return the URL. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, what is the problem is earlier web.config file is not at all, refreshing. So we have to remove this earlier part. I have to delete these things from browser history. First you can build your website. Build succeeded. Then again I will check one more time. Rekha 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, so if your cache is there in your website, first delete your browser cache. Sometimes it may not reflect. Okay. So now you are in the internal page.aspx. When I click on this to sign out, so sign out means I have to redirect to my home page, right? So forms authentication, and we can redirect back to that other pages which are available for us. Now let me show you how we can redirect. Once we click on the particular submit sign out button, so where we have to forms authentication, forms authentication dot redirect to login page. So now I would like to log in my page. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I click on this. So when I click on sign out, so again it will come to your return URL, means your first page. So likewise we can do authentication and authorization. Okay, so users allowability and all those things we can check. Suppose I entered to this page, just I want to show you one more thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here I entered to this page, right? So just you can, in debugging process, you can check user, you can type user dot identity dot identity. User dot identity, just you can type here user dot identity dot name. User dot identity dot name. So you can check, there is no username which is available so far, right? So next you can come here. Now you can check. So you got some user identification. So you'll get, now also not there. So instead of name you can check is authenticated. So is also false. If you are a Windows login user, means window login user means, so you will get a name like this. Suppose your organization name, something in our companies will, they will give like this, or your name. Whenever you are writing user identity dot name something, automatically your username will be available there itself. Okay, so that whether if they give permissions means they will get is authenticated value is true. If you are non-authenticated means it will give, comes as a false. Okay, so generally we mostly used Forms authentication for web-based applications. For Windows authentications, you can simply put that authentication mode equal to Windows. That's it. So we can't test Windows authentication in live example because we need an IAS server and which supports a LAN systems. We have a 100 number or 50 or 20, some LAN connectivity is required. So if we have LAN connectivity, so for there we require one server. By using that server we can manage, so we can give restrictions and we can delete restrictions. All this we can play with the help of our server and as well as Windows environment. Okay, this is an example for authentication and authorization. This ends this topic.
Okay.
Any queries?
No.
No.
Okay, what you have to do is